Ten, nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome back to NASA in Silicon Valley Live. I'm your host, Abby Tabor, and if this is your first time joining us, NASA in Silicon Valley Live is a conversational show out of NASA's Ames Research Center, where we talk about all the nerdy NASA news you need to know. So right now, we are simultaneously live on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope. But if you want to join in the chat and ask our guests questions, you need to do that on Twitch. So join us at www.twitch.tv/NASA. All right, so today we are talking about how to get an internship at NASA. And this is a fitting topic because it is National Intern Day. Happy National Intern Day. So joining us today to answer your questions are our guests, Haley and Abel. Say hi and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I'm Haley Feck. I am a coordinator for the NASA Internship Program here at Ames Research Center. So I get to help bring students here to Ames and then support them throughout their time here.
Awesome. Yeah. Nice job.
Abby, happy National Intern Day.
Thank you so much.
My name is Abel Morales. I'm also an intern program coordinator here at NASA Ames, but I'm also the internship communications coordinator for the agency. So in that role specifically, I get to engage the public to the intern experience.
Nice.
And I do this by highlighting all the fun things that our interns, do across our social media platforms.
Oh, sweet. Yeah. Excellent. All across NASA, all
Yes.
the interns. Very cool. Nice job also. So before we get into talking about internships, I want to remind our audience that we're counting down to an important milestone in human space exploration. So 5 years from now, we're planning to send the first woman and the next man to the surface of the moon as part of our Artemis program. And this clock you see right here is counting down the days, hours, minutes, and seconds until 2024, when our astronauts will return to the moon. So we'll talk more about that later in the show and get on to our main topic today. So every show that we do, we're always asked the same question: how can I work at NASA? So one of the ways to get started is to become an intern. So that's our first question for you guys today. Everybody wants to know, how do I get an internship at NASA?
Right. So it's probably the most common question that we get. And the first thing we would just recommend students to do is to apply,
Just apply.
Yeah, it's just as simple as that. Yes, yes. So internships from NASA are all posted on one specific application system, and that's intern.nasa.gov.
Okay.
So what's great about that application system is that internship opportunities are available year-round. So
Nice.
We have 3 sessions, which are fall, spring, and summer.
Mm-hmm.
So, through intern.nasa.gov, students have the ability to apply to up to 15 opportunity projects. Mm-hmm. And these projects are available for all students. So in high school, if you're a high school student, if you're an undergraduate student and a graduate student, you can apply through intern.nasa.gov.
Okay. All sorts of opportunities for people at different levels.
Right.
Very cool. What does it look like? You're talking about searching for projects on the site. What kinds of projects do we mean, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so like Abel said, the whole agency uses this one portal. So each of the centers, not just Ames, use this site to post their projects for interns. And the way it works, you upload one application. So you're filling out, your school, your major, your work experience, things like that, all in one place. And once that's complete and submitted, you can search the portal for different projects. Mm-hmm. And so you can search, you can search by major, you can search by keywords, interests, and you can apply to up to 15 of those projects.
Okay. Is it like searching through job postings, new jobs available for
exactly.
interns?
There's a description of the project. It'll tell you what center it's located at and any certain skills that they're looking for.
Okay. Why don't you tell us a little bit about the different NASA centers? Because you cover all of them in the portal, right?
That's right. So there's 10 NASA centers as well as a few field sites, and all of them offer internships, and they're all located at that intern.nasa.gov. And so, yeah, we're obviously here in Silicon Valley, California, but there's NASA centers down in Southern California, Armstrong Flight Research Center.
Right.
There's obviously Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. We have Kennedy Space Center in Florida. So all sorts of different places. Some interns, they choose to apply to centers close to home, so whatever's nearest to them. But also each center has kind of their own area of expertise. So if you research the centers and kind of find what aligns best with your interest, you can kind of tailor your applications to that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. If you want to do biology, if you want to do aerospace engineering, you can find a good center for that.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
Outstanding. All right. So what are some of the specific requirements that people are going to face when they want to apply?
Right. So we have 4 eligibility requirements. The first one is that you have to be a U.S. citizen. And then the next one is that you at least have to be 16 years of age. The third is that you have to be enrolled in a degree granting program or institution. And the last one is that you at least have to have a 3.0 GPA on a 4.0 scale.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. People can probably find that stuff on the portal as well,
Definitely,
right?
yes.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll talk more about those as well. So another question we always get on the show is, what should I study if I want to work at NASA? Do I have to do aeronautical engineering? Do I
Right.
need to be this kind of person?
Yeah.
Are there specific majors you recommend?
So we are NASA. We're pretty STEM focused. It's a lot of science, technology, engineering, and math. Those are probably the majority of our internships, but we also do have non-STEM opportunities. We have interns in the business office. We have interns in the legal office, the education office, communications office. So
Right.
NASA really does need everyone, and, you know, they need all kinds of interns and all kinds of perspectives. So
Right.
there's a little something for everyone.
I think that's great. I think it's always a surprise to people that, like, oh, if I'm interested in being a lawyer, actually, maybe I could work for NASA.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you can be people like us, right?
Yes. Yeah.
We're not actually scientists, but we get to contribute to the missions.
Yeah, and just going off of that, we always tell students that you don't know what projects are available. So I think part of that is for them to kind of check out intern.nasa.gov and see what's out there. So what Haley mentioned earlier, each center is different, and the needs are different at each center. So we just encourage everyone to do their research and see what's out there.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. Go explore, dig in there and see what's available, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when and how exactly should people go about preparing their application and submitting?
Right, great question. So as I mentioned earlier, the application system is intern.nasa.gov.
Yeah.
So it's always important to know the deadlines. As I mentioned, we have 3 sessions that we accept interns. So that's fall, spring, and summer. And it's always great to apply early and plan ahead. Right. So for the application deadlines, you can visit intern.nasa.gov to see what's ahead. Now would be a great time to start applying for spring 2020.
Oh, really?
Right.
Okay.
So
that's pretty far in advance.
Right.
I was going to ask you how far in advance is early in your
right. Anywhere from at least 1 to 3 months ahead. So things to expect, you can at least expect to have 1 letter of recommendation. So one thing we always recommend to students is that, try to select someone that can speak highly of you, whether that be your work experience, a college advisor, or a college professor.
Right.
Again, we want them to highlight, your strengths. You can definitely have more than 1 letter of recommendation, but if in order for your profile to be complete, you at least need 1.
Okay, makes sense.
The second thing is that you can expect to provide a transcript. So again, we need to verify that you have a 3.0, based on a 4.0 scale.
Yeah.
And then the application system itself will also ask for a personal statement. So be expect to, answer why you and why do you want to intern at NASA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
all of these are good reasons to start early, right?
Definitely.
I know it takes time to order that transcript and give your professor more than a few days to write your letter, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and something we recommend a lot is, get started on the application part well in advance, months in advance, but then keep checking back because sometimes new projects are uploaded all the time. So keep checking back to see, what's there, what's available.
So it's a rolling system,
Yeah,
Right.
kind of
Worth
how the
checking out.
projects are posted it is.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. The last thing that I also just want to add is that a resume is optional, but it's highly encouraged. So again, a resume is just a quick snapshot of who you are, right? So this is a great time for you to highlight what STEM or NASA experience you may have.
Right.
And again, there's different people looking at your application, us, and also the mentors. So again, it's a great opportunity for you to mention what experience you have.
Okay, right. And have some bullets of interest to your
Correct.
application.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. That makes sense. Okay, so that's like the nitty-gritty, the nuts and bolts of applying. Let's talk about why people should. What's so great about being an intern at NASA?
Yeah, well, for starters, you're at NASA.
For starters,
you're gonna have
right?
a great time here. Yeah, you get to meet the most amazing people. You get to see the most amazing things. You get to really just like geek out for 10 weeks or however long you're here. So it's, incredible experience, first of all, NASA aside. But the thing that's unique about our internship program is that interns, they're working hands-on on projects, actual NASA projects. So you're paired with a mentor who's usually, a project lead or some sort of expert in their field, and you're working on their project. You're an integral part of it. So you get to do something, that's actually a part of a NASA mission, which is really cool.
Yeah. So you're not just watching. You're not standing by watching them work.
You're not just getting coffee and, checking emails. Like, you're actually doing research, which is awesome. And so it's exciting, especially right now with the Artemis program. We have students who their work is, directly related to the Artemis program. So they're helping to put the first woman and the next man on the moon by 2024 and then on to Mars. So, it's a really exciting time to be an intern.
And they're also interning during the Apollo 50th anniversary.
50th,
Yes.
This past week, which a lot of our interns got to celebrate.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Exactly.
Lucky interns this summer. Excellent. So I know that the work they're doing here could potentially lead to their future careers, right? And actually, Haley, that's what happened for you, isn't it? Tell us about your story of interning.
So a few years ago, I was actually a NASA intern myself. I was in grad school studying education, planning to be a teacher. NASA was nowhere on my radar. The environment was so exciting. The people, everyone's so enthusiastic about NASA work. And so I fell in love with it. And, I finished up my master's program and my mentor at Marshall helped me to find full-time positions to apply to. And I ended up here.
Outstanding.
And still loving it.
Yeah. I remember you told me the other day everybody was working on the space launch system,
Yes.
the new rocket that's coming,
That's
and
right.
you really felt that excitement,
Yeah,
right?
so I totally understand the excitement for Artemis that our interns are feeling now, because I was at Marshall. I obviously wasn't working on the rocket or doing anything related, but I felt a part of it, and it was really exciting, and it made me want to stay.
So cool.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Just want to add that these type of success stories are relatively common here at NASA.
It's amazing.
And in my position, as I mentioned, I get to highlight a lot of these great intern highlights. And just on top of my head, I know here at NASA Ames Research Center, our center director, Eugene Tu, was a former intern.
That's right.
Yeah,
I forgot
so
that.
Definitely. And I know we've also highlighted on our social media platforms that Marshall Space Flight Center, Jody Singer was also a former intern.
The director
wow.
there, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm in
and-
good company.
Yeah.
And then lastly, our associate administrator for STEM engagement, Mike Kincaid, was also a former intern as well. So again,
That's so great.
the possibilities are endless.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. This could be where it all begins.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Well, that is enough talk about the interns. How about we meet one? I know you guys brought some guests with you, so
Yeah.
let's go ahead and meet our first real live NASA intern. Come on out, Jordan. Hey, Jordan. Welcome. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Well, we're great. We're excited to talk to you about what you're doing here this summer at NASA. Why don't you tell everybody your name and where do you go to school? What are you studying?
So my name is Jordan Garland. I'm a biology chemistry double major with an emphasis in pre-med and a minor in psychology at Kentucky Wesleyan College.
Okay, not bad. Fairly impressive.
It's a long title.
Outstanding. So, what are you working on here at NASA this summer?
So I am lucky enough to be working on this really cool project on the astrobiology and life support branch here at NASA Ames, working with the water group. So
water
the
group.
big issue for us is water is obviously very important in space, and we use it a lot for our technology, for life support, And so we're doing research on using nanoparticles to try to sterilize that water so then we don't run into any type of mutations that could damage the aircraft, damage, any of our life support systems.
Okay.
So that's what I've been doing all summer.
So water is critical, right? Because
Yes.
when you say life support, that can be just drinking water,
Yes.
right? But then also we can make rocket fuel, I gather, from water. So it's an important resource.
We're constantly
exploration, right?
recycling it and reusing it. So we want to make sure it's clean, nothing goes wrong. So that's where my job plays in.
All right. Excellent. Important stuff.
Yes, very important. Really cool.
Yeah. And you're really, do you feel like you're part of the mission? Because you're working, you're contributing towards the Artemis program. Do you feel that?
Yes, it's so insane. And I was talking about it yesterday. I mean, my grandparents remember like the moon landing and the fact that my generation gets to be a part of something so amazing and this big milestone of the Artemis program is incredible. And with this internship, you really feel like you're doing work that has purpose, where you're actually hands-on and we're doing real research and we're not just getting coffee or filling out paperwork. And it's very special. I know everyone here, all the interns have been freaking out and just loving it, that we feel like even if it's a tiny role, we get to have some sort of role for the future in space.
I think everybody at NASA feels that, so I'm really glad you're getting that this summer even, yeah. And I almost forgot that we had a little animation to show of the kinds of things your work could support, of humans working on Mars. So if we have that available, we could run that while we talk a little bit more about your work. So can you describe a little bit about your water purification or how you feel you're contributing?
Yeah, it's really crazy. Water is used in so much in space with the Artemis mission from Moon to Mars, working with life support, working with just the technologies that they run. You need to filter water through that. So it's my job is using nanoparticles and different type of chemical reactions to try to find ways to avoid any mutations so that we can make sure everything's safe and running.
So that's like if there's bacteria in the water or something?
If there's any bacteria or anything like that. It's really a special thing to be a part of. And like I said, you feel like you're doing like real work, and that's so exciting. And the energy here is just so high, being able to, work at NASA and be able to have work that matters. It's very, very special.
I can imagine. Are you at all surprised to hear this, or is this typical of interns' reactions? Intern experiences.
Yeah, this is really typical. When we meet with our interns, they tell us stories about their friends who are maybe working somewhere else, and they're like, they don't have an experience like this. They don't get to do something that's real, that, will be used at NASA for years and years and years. So yeah, you're a part of something that continues even after you finish your internship, which is pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, someday, you'll get to say, those astronauts, they're using something that I worked on.
Yes, basically, I'm really helping out. I'm making a big difference.
And say it was all you.
Everybody is.
No one else.
Yeah.
It's always empowering hearing stories like this. So,
Right.
yeah.
This is what you make possible.
Definitely.
Awesome. What was your reaction when you found out you were going to get an internship at NASA?
Goodness. It was the day after my birthday, funnily enough, and I was with my best friend in the car, and I get this email from Haley saying, like, congratulations, we selected you, and I was like a wreck, like crying my eyes out, because like, who doesn't dream of working at NASA? Like, it's so incredible. And I remember I was like on the phone with all my family, my mom, my dad, like freaking out. I was texting everyone. I was like a complete wreck, and that excitement has not died down even from being here. Like, every day I wake up and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm at NASA. Like, it's so cool. Who wouldn't want to say that?
I get to go to work. I get to go to
Yes,
work.
it's so exciting.
That's so cool. What was your first impression then when you got here? Were you intimidated
I
or
also
just excited?
cried when I first got here. I'm a little emotional, I will say that. I was driving and I saw the big like hangar, and I just freaked out. My mom was with me, And I was like, oh my gosh, Mom, like this is real. Like this is NASA. And I was just flipping out, and I was texting my roommate here, and she cried too. So I felt a lot better. And then it was very overwhelming when we had orientation and we got to meet our mentors, and just everyone here is so excited and passionate, and they're so nice. I thought, you know, I'm an intern. They're not going to take me seriously. They're going to brush me aside. But everyone was very like open arms, very excited about like what we can do and what we bring to the table.
Right.
So it was really nice to feel like valued and important here at the center.
For sure, yeah. I always hear that around the center. Interns are actually really valuable members of the team, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, excellent. Do you have any advice for students who are thinking about applying?
So my advice would be to be confident. I for sure never thought that I would get this, but I just applied. I think when you're doing your application, they have a lot of like short answer type of questions. I think you should really let your personality shine through, because they're definitely looking for genuine people. And if you are passionate about something, if you love science and you make that very like your forefront, I think a lot of people really pick up on that. So I would say all the mentors here, they're really looking for, you know, an authentic, well-rounded person. So I would say definitely just be confident in yourself, put your passions out there, and don't be scared, because you could get an internship.
That's right.
And I'm very grateful I'm here, and I definitely, when I applied, was like, I will not get this.
Right.
But I really just talked about my passions and the pre-med and life support, and I'm here. So my advice is just don't doubt yourself.
That's excellent. Good for you. Finding that confidence, and you always got to say, you can't get it unless I try. So
Exactly.
Exactly. So when you applied, did you apply to multiple projects, or did you focus on the one that you knew you really wanted?
So on the intern site, you can apply to up to, I think, 15.
Right.
I think I applied to all of them. It was very easy to apply. They have it all broken down by like major interest. So I put in like medical, biology, chemistry, the things that I'm passionate about. And I chose a couple projects, and I heard back from this one, and I immediately was like, yes, do this one. So
Yes.
I definitely applied for many, because like it's NASA.
That seems like good advice. There must be a lot of people applying, right?
Yeah, definitely. So did you apply to all different centers?
Yes, I applied to a lot of different centers, mostly Ames though, because I love California, I love the West Coast, and I really liked this center particularly, but I applied to a bunch of them.
All right. Yeah.
Cool.
Any other questions that you guys have always wanted to ask your interns once they've gotten here?
What is something that surprised you about NASA?
Yeah,
What's something you didn't
surprised
expect?
me. I would say how we do real work here. Like, I kind of was walking into this thinking I'm going to be filling out paperwork or not being able to really work in a lab. But I got here and my mentor was like, free game. Like, here's your lab. Here's the issue that we have, and we want your ideas. And I was very surprised to feel very valued here, and to feel like if I was sitting in a meeting that I could actually bring something up and that would be taken into consideration. And I was able to really do actual lab work. Like, I work in a lab every single day, and that was surprising and in like the best way possible.
Yeah. But so did you come in prepared already to know how to work in a lab, or did they train you when you got here?
They did train me when I got here. I had some lab experience, but they're really good about like safety training, making you feel comfortable. And the atmosphere is so great here that like I'm not afraid to ask a question. So if I'm not sure if I'm doing something right, or my experiment is just like not gone how I wanted to, I feel very comfortable here because they set up that atmosphere where you can just sit down with any of the scientists and be like, hey, I need a little bit of help. I'm a little lost. And everyone I've worked with has really taken time out of their day to help me out. Even people that aren't my mentor, but like the other scientists in my building, they've really made me feel comfortable and helped me a lot.
That's wonderful to hear.
Yeah, that is good to hear.
Outstanding. Any final thoughts you would like to add?
Just I love it here. Everyone should apply. Don't be scared to apply. This has been probably the best summer I've ever had, and it's just been an amazing experience.
Wonderful.
So yeah.
I'm happy for you. Thank you for coming and sharing this
Thank you for
experience.
having me.
Wonderful.
It's been so great.
Well, good luck with your internship.
Thanks. Oh, 2 more weeks.
Okay. Talk to you later. All right. So to apply for an internship at NASA, for more information, learn more about it, you want to go to the website intern.nasa.gov. So that was really inspirational. Like, I want to be a NASA intern now that I have heard Jordan's experience. I did some cool internships, but nothing that rivals that. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
You guys put these possibilities together for them.
Yeah, it's nice to hear, like, she was so excited getting an email from me.
Right, right.
It's always a high energy time whenever interns are here, and their energy is our energy. So it's
Definitely.
always good to hear.
It definitely shows around the center when, like, if there are talks, it's packed. The
Yeah.
auditorium is packed because the interns are really excited to be here and learn and be exposed to all these different NASA
Yeah.
topics. So
It's
yeah,
a good
it's
reminder
exciting.
for me, like, there's cool stuff happening here. Go see it.
Yes. Outstanding. All right. So let us do some rapid fire
right.
what if questions. All right. If you guys are up for that.
Let's do it.
All right. So everybody's going to have their own special case, right? But these are some common ones like, what if I'm in high school? Can I intern at NASA?
Yeah, so there's a minimum age requirement. You have to be at least 16 years old, but as long as you're 16 or older, we do have opportunities available for high school students.
All right.
So yes, apply.
Yes. Okay. And earlier you talked about the GPA requirement. What if I don't quite have that? Like, is that firm, or what can I do to address that?
Right. So we understand that an intern is a student first, right? So if you don't have the GPA, we always encourage students to focus on school first. Once you do have the GPA of a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale, you know, as I mentioned earlier, our internship opportunities are available year round. So once you do have a 3.0, we just encourage you to apply then.
Yeah, so just get your GPA up, try again the next session.
Right. Okay. Go back, focus,
Yeah.
work hard, and come back again when you're ready.
Exactly.
Now, what if I'm not a U.S. citizen?
So
What's the situation there?
Yeah, the NASA internship program, it's required that our interns are U.S. citizens. There are a few select opportunities for international students through the International Internships program, and there's more information about that at intern.nasa.gov.
Okay. Good to know that those exist.
a few,
send
yes.
A few, right. So not many, but we have so many viewers around the world who are excited about NASA.
Right.
It's good for them to be able to go look into that. What if I recently graduated from college? Do I have to feel like, oh man, I missed my chance? Is it too late?
So it's not too late. You're still eligible 6 months after you graduated. So you would still be eligible if that's you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. 6 months after graduation.
So it's pretty common when students graduate in May, they're still able to intern the following summer and also the following fall.
Okay, right. Yeah, that makes sense. The next 2 sessions. Yep. All right, very good. What if I'm enrolled at community college?
Yes, definitely. You know, as long as you're enrolled in a degree granting program or institution, you're eligible. So that includes community college students. Another program that we encourage community college students to check out is the NASA Community College Aerospace Scholars, also known as NCAS. Oh. So we've seen a lot of NCAS students become NASA interns. So that's something for those community college students to check out.
All right, a program specifically for community college, then maybe from there enter into the internship program.
Right, and simultaneously you can apply to both programs as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good. All right, let me see about taking some questions from the chat. Okay. Well, I think this one we have answered, but it depends on this person's timing. Buster Cherry asks, can you pursue an internship even after graduating with an aerospace degree?
You sure can.
You sure can.
Up to 6 months after graduation.
Yes.
You can.
All right. Very good. Good question here. The real Seinfeld. I'm applying for an internship at NASA and I need a letter of recommendation. I know someone at NASA, but are they allowed as a NASA employee to write a letter of recommendation?
Yeah, they are. Mm-hmm. And we see that's pretty common. So, for example, like the students who do NCAS, they'll ask their NCAS mentors to write them a letter of recommendation. So definitely something we see, definitely allowed.
Right. And just as a reminder for letters of recommendation, you always want someone that can speak highly of you. So if that's the person, then yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a really specific question that person needed answered, so I'm glad you had the answer. Here's a question, a rhetorical question from Space TV Net. Is there a cooler internship anywhere in the universe?
Definitely not.
I don't think so. Excellent point. Here we also half answered this. Well, we'll remind them of the possibilities. Rishaba 8637. Is there any possibility of a person from India to be an intern at NASA?
Yeah, they would need to go visit intern.nasa.gov to see if their country is one of the agencies that we have a partnership with.
Yeah. All right. And that goes also for Moot. Is there any way to get in without being a U.S. citizen? There could be, depending on programs offered by your country, right? And they can learn more at intern.nasa.gov.
That's right.
That's the one-stop shop
Yeah.
for internships at NASA.
Yeah, it says right on the homepage, I think, like I am an international student or
Right.
something, and you click it and you can get all the information there.
Okay, that's good. So that it helps you kind
It's very clear,
filter out the information you need. Yeah, right there. Awesome. Let's see. I have some of my questions. I have some of the chat's questions. I like this person a lot. I'm interested in their profile. The JP guy. I have a philosophy degree. Can I find a job anywhere at NASA?
Yeah, as we mentioned, as Haley mentioned earlier, we do have some non-STEM majors opportunities for folks, not studying STEM. So we just encourage you to visit intern.nasa.gov, check out the projects that are available, read the project descriptions, and if it's a project that interests you, apply.
Yeah. Baraluto 3 says, too bad I'm 16. But why? Because what's the minimum age?
Minimum age is 16, so send it.
You too, Baraluto 3, you can apply if you meet the other requirements. You're old enough. Or hang in there until you finish school and come back in college, right? All right. There are loads more questions. We can always come back to these. So I do want to jump ahead to our next intern so we can get another story out here for people to experience. So this time we're going to meet Vanessa. Come on out, Vanessa. Hear about another NASA story. Research going on this summer. Hey!
Hi, y'all.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing super good today. Just coming off of work. We did a lot of research in the lab today, so it's been a good one.
Very good. Why don't you tell everybody your name, where you're from, what are you studying?
Yeah, okay, so I'm Vanessa. I am a senior at Stanford, and I also have kind of a mouthful of a major. I'm a human biology major with a concentration in neuroscience, brain and behavior. And then I minored in astronomy and astrophysics.
I love that. You sound like someone who is passionate about all sorts of things and you didn't want to have to decide, so you just went for it all.
Yeah, it's actually really exciting because a lot of people are like, oh, that seems so different, like astrophysics and biology. But it's actually really, really interesting because they go hand in hand pretty well. One of the things that I'm really, really passionate about is studying life in the universe and life and planets and worlds beyond our own and how we can foster that.
Searching for life
so
out there beyond Earth.
Yeah.
Yes, you got them both in there with your
it
major.
sounds like you're in the right place.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And it's really cool because Ames is one of the NASA centers that specializes or has a lot of labs that work in the biosciences. So astrobiology is a big thing here, and it's really exciting, the work that people are doing.
It is exciting, but what exactly are you working on specifically?
Yeah. So right now I work in an amazing lab. My mentors are really cool. Shout out to Bill Toscano and Patricia Cowings. And we work in the psychophysiology lab.
Psychophysiology.
Yeah. So it's really amazing work. One of their biggest projects is they've created a training program for astronauts called AFTE, and it basically allows astronauts to control different physiological conditions in space and on Earth, such as their heart rate, breathing rate, temperature, mentally. So that's really amazing. It's a 6-hour training program, and once they go through it, they can really control these things. And it helps in space a lot with motion sickness, because that's a symptom frequently experienced by a lot of astronauts. And also when they get back down to Earth, they're a little dizzy and disoriented. And this mental training in 6 hours, they did clinical trials, and it works better than the shots that people would have for like motion sickness medicine.
Oh my gosh, wow.
So
That's
it's really
amazing.
cool stuff. And then right now we're doing a second fold project as well, where we're working on a biosuit paired with the Canadian Space Agency as well, and it can help astronauts monitor their physiological conditions in space too and report it back to them real time.
Wow.
So we're testing it out in the lab right now.
How cool.
Yeah.
This is amazing. I don't know where to begin. the motion sickness studies. What are you doing to study that?
Yeah. So our lab is infamous for this thing that we call the chair.
Chair.
And
It's a little ominous.
Yeah, it's a rotating chair, and it spins at increasing rotations per minute, and it mimics motion sickness symptoms in space that astronauts often experience. And so we're testing our test participants in the chair and seeing how they feel as time goes on. And they're also wearing the suit, so we're able to see, like on our devices, and they could see as well on their iOS device, their heart rate, breathing rate, blood pressure, and that's really indicative of how sick they're feeling. And then after they do the training, they're able to see a screen with their physiological conditions and rates and things like that, and mentally bring these things up or down in ways that mitigate sickness. So it's really cool.
That is really cool.
So yeah, we got a spinning chair in our lab.
Right. Yeah. Have you tried it? Have you ridden in the spinning chair?
Oh, I wish. So you have to go through medical clearance, unfortunately. So as interns are liabilities.
I guess I'd be willing to give it a try, but I don't know. I got sick on a whale watch last year. I'm not sure I'm the best candidate for the rotating chair.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I can see how your work is going to contribute to the Artemis program. Do you feel that in your day-to-day here? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, so it is really, really exciting to be working at NASA during this time. All the interns are really grateful. We can feel the energy. It's really cool because they're actually flying these spacesuits at the International Space Station right now.
They really are, wow.
And so we're continuing to test out the model and figure out ways that we can improve on it. And a lot of amazing astronauts have worked with my mentors and had the motion sickness training themselves. Like Mae Jimson had it, and we have a ton of pictures of them in our wall of our lab, and like they're signed, like never felt sick again, like really great things. So yeah, my mentors are pretty much the GOATs, and it's really exciting to work with them, especially during this time, knowing that you're working on something that's going to carry people, especially on longer missions when we're headed to the moon, headed to Mars from there. And that can take a really big toll on the body that we haven't foreseen before, taking such long space flights. So they're really going to need a lot of people in biology and medicine coming up to support this program. So it's an exciting time for everyone.
Well said. That is exciting. Do you have a favorite thing about your internship?
Yeah. So my favorite thing about my internship, I have two. My first one is just really actually getting to contribute to the work that our lab is doing, and interacting with our test participants and like talking to them. And we have different tests in the chair. They'll exercise wearing the suit to mimic a lot of conditions that astronauts might be under and see if the suit holds up in them. And interacting with them. You're actually a researcher. I've got a clipboard. Like I'm running the experiment.
Wow.
Sometimes our mentors are there, sometimes they're not. So you're really like in charge of the experiment, and that's really cool to have that handed to you, and to be able to make an impact and to be taken seriously. Like when you come on and being able to prove that, yeah, I can step up and do this. It's a really good feeling to contribute. My second thing is hearing really cool stories from my mentors. They've been working at NASA for over 40 years.
Wow.
So they're amazing. So they have tons of stories about like going in the zero-G planes, interacting with astronauts, cosmonauts, and like the Japanese astronauts all receive training from them. So that's one of my favorite things too, is to hear the stories and hear about their life experiences here. And you really feel a part of a legacy of like space innovation and just exploration. And it's really exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
You feel the past that came before you,
Yeah.
and you know you're contributing to the future to come.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. And I want you to know that we have a comment from Higher Learning who says, I want to work with Vanessa.
Yes, I work with you too.
And this person is sending in my application ASAP.
Yes, send them in. It's great that you can apply pretty much any time of the year. It's really exciting.
Outstanding. How cool is she? Jeez, somebody says. You are cool.
They're embarrassing.
We're glad to know you, Vanessa. I'm looking for other questions that might be great for you. Well, someone's asking, what is the process of getting the internship? Specifically, what time did you apply? And you plan on staying? I'm not sure about that part. But could you tell us a little bit about like how far in advance did you apply? Did you choose a bunch of projects or one? Or
Yeah, so I chose a lot of projects at Ames since they had a lot of biology-based programs, and I'm a biology major. Not a flight engineer or anything like that. But yeah, so they had a lot at Ames. And so I filtered it by biosciences, biology, cell science, things like that, things that I was really interested and excited about. And I found 3 that I applied to here that like really stuck out to me. So I started applying, probably thinking about it like 3 months in advance. I started writing my application about 1 month in advance. But I think that it is really important with some cool advanced planning that you can do starting in the months prior. I really, really recommend thinking about like things that you could say or like passions that you could write about that really makes your personality shine through your application, but also thinking about your letter of recommendation and who's going to write it and like who you want to speak on your behalf, and if that person can actually show some stories about you and like how you've taken X skill that they have on the application and a story about how you've applied it. And also putting that in your own application, like kind of spitting out the qualifications that they want, but with an example that you've done on your own is really great. And another thing about letters of recommendation that I learned in college that is really helpful is that you don't actually have to let your recommenders like go into the wind and just say, hey, can you write a recommendation for this program? You can actually suggest certain talking points when you talk to them or email them, like, oh, it would be awesome if you could speak about how I led this experiment or how I did this, and give them a list of things. And they actually love that because it makes their job a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because then it's a shorter process for them to write. Because they're like, oh, yes. So you can kind of write your own. Yeah, as long as it's true.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They're not going to write anything that's not true, but you're reminding them, I did this and this and that. And don't forget how passionate I am about this stuff. Yeah. Awesome. That's really good, concrete advice. That's really helpful. I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts you would just love to share about your experience?
Can I ask if you've worn the suit?
Yeah, I have worn the suit. It kind of fits like a leotard with a little headband. You feel really official because like it really does look like some kind of spacesuit that you're wearing. Awesome. And there's some sensors and a little plug patch and like plugs, and it sits in the pocket of the suit. And you just feel like, oh, I'm ready to go. I'm suited up. It's
Very
really cool. Yeah.
Nice. Just one of the perks of the job. You got to put on the suit.
Yeah. And I guess a final piece of advice I have is just what you've been hearing, to apply. Apply. It's a really, really exciting time to be working at NASA right now, especially with the Artemis program coming up. Like, you will be contributing to the future of space exploration, and that is so exciting. So put in those applications, and you never know.
Great message. I'm so glad you get to be a part of it. It's exciting. All right. Thank you for stopping by today.
Yes, thank you guys for having me.
Good luck with your research.
Bye, y'all. Thank you.
Bye. Awesome. Another one that I want to be.
Right.
I decided I want to be Jordan and I want to be Vanessa in my next life.
I've been to her lab a couple times, and it's so cool.
In your jobs, do you guys get to tour all the different labs and see what's going on?
We make sure to.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
We have a bunch more questions before moving on. Someone is asking if these are paid interns.
Programs, it kind of depends on center, but if you're at intern.nasa.gov, those volunteer projects should be like clearly labeled, so no surprises. You're getting paid unless it says volunteer.
All right. Yeah. NASA Katie Harvey, NASA in the name, that tells us something. Since NASA doesn't provide housing, what would you recommend high school students do for the summer that are from out of state? You mentioned the stipend can help cover the costs of housing.
I think that kind of goes with like just planning ahead, right? So if you know you're applying for, the summer session, just look at the center that you're considering and consider the area where they're at. So oftentimes our interns, across the agency will either look at Airbnb or, check out different housing options, in the area.
Yeah, and we kind of, once students are accepted, we'll send out some housing like resources and recommendations, and I think most centers do that. So we try to help what's there, because we know a lot of people are coming from out of state.
Yeah, and I imagine future interns can be in touch with each other, maybe become roommates.
Definitely.
That kind of thing can help.
Yeah, we help get them connected before they're here, so
they
can find roommates.
That helps. I saw a good one that I wanted to cover. Here's one. Space TV Net is asking, can people with a disability become a NASA intern?
Of course. Yes, plain and simple.
Easy answer. Yeah, plain and simple. Astrobi, Cal. We have a project called Astrobi.
We have interns working on Astrobi.
Does your major impact the project that you work on as an intern? Say, for example, if you apply as an engineering major, you might work on rockets, or biology majors might work on recycling water for trips to the moon.
Yeah, so usually the projects are aimed at specific majors. Sometimes, though, there's projects where the mentors, they just take a group of students and then, they'll tailor it more towards you. So if they have an engineering student, they'll kind of give them that portion of the project and, things like that.
Oh. All right, cool. So speaking of mentors, Vanessa was just talking about how hers are so amazing and she really appreciates working with them. What exactly is the role of the mentors? Can you describe how they work with their students?
Yeah, so our mentors, they're really amazing and they're obviously, experts in their fields. And so they're working day to day with the interns. They're, providing them support, teaching them, sharing their knowledge with them, giving them all the necessary training. So they're a huge part of the internship program, of course.
Right. And just another thing to add, without our mentors, internships wouldn't exist. So they're very critical to the internship program.
Right. They're the other half. Interns and mentors, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And you guys talked about interns becoming employees sometimes. Do you have any that then became mentors?
Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
So they know the experience themselves.
Yeah, I actually think a lot of our mentors were once interns. So that helps a lot because they really have that perspective and they know what kind of support our interns need.
Right. All right. Yeah. You guys actually invited a mentor here to join us to tell us himself about the experience. So we're going to meet George now. Come on out, George. Mentor extraordinaire. Hey. Good to see you. How are you?
Great to be here. I'm great. Thank you so much.
Excellent. So you're one of our star mentors with interns of your own. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody what you work on here, first of all?
My name is George Barosky. I'm a research engineer here within the Diagnostics and Prognostics Research Group in the Intelligent System Division.
All right.
Yeah.
That also is a mouthful. We'll ask you a little more about your work in a bit. But you have chosen interns yourself who've come to work with you. What kinds of things are you looking for when they apply?
Typically, I look at the type of skills the interns list on their resume and how they've used those skills in experiences, in projects. So if someone says, "Oh, I know C++," I'd like to look at their resume and see how they've used it in the past and to what degree they've used it.
Yeah. So like our intern said, be specific in your application, right?
Yeah.
Someone like George is looking to see, what did you do with that skill you have? Yeah. Excellent. I think you must look for people who are passionate, right?
Yeah, I often look for people who express themselves in their application. I read through all of the different fields that are in the intern application, and then I look at the resume. I love people who are excited about space exploration, excited about robotics, excited for an opportunity to work here at Ames.
Right. That's like a minimum, right?
Yeah, that's definitely
excited.
Something we hear a lot from our mentors. I said before, we see hundreds and thousands of transcripts that all, look pretty similar, but what sets it apart is kind of like what you're doing in your free time. What, are you teaching yourself how to code? Are you working on your pilot's license? Things like that. What do you have to offer NASA?
Yeah, we like people who love to learn.
Yes.
Right?
That makes sense. That's a prerequisite for
Definitely.
learning throughout life. Yeah, exactly. So, George, why don't you tell us your story exactly? How did you get to NASA?
Yeah.
How'd that play out?
I was very, very lucky. I got into a very small program that existed a few years ago called the Tribal Universities and Tribal Colleges and Universities Program. It's a program at NASA specific for Native American students.
That's amazing.
It was really amazing, and it was a really life-changing experience. Once I got here, I spent the entire summer working with my mentor on a robotics project. I said, this is my foot in the door. I'm going to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
And it worked out really well for me because the very next summer I was invited back to NASA to take part in the NASA Academy for Robotics.
Oh, wow.
And then the following summer, I got invited back again for the NASA Academy for Space Exploration.
All right.
It's a really great program that was a type of leadership development program. And then immediately afterwards, I was lucky enough to get hired full time.
Nice.
And now I live the dream every day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I like something you told me one time, that when you were starting that first program, you were really intimidated and you felt like, oh, they're all going to be geniuses. And what if I'm not?
Oh, that's so true. Yeah.
But is that what you found when you got here?
It's not at all that way. In fact, so I was very worried. I was very worried that everybody here at NASA thought I was a genius and that they had very high expectations of me. And in actuality, what we expect of our interns is that we give them a problem, they need to learn, develop new skills, get new knowledge, and then solve that problem. They don't have to be an expert to be an intern, but we love it when they can learn, grow, and then help us solve the real problems that we have.
Right, right. You're not supposed to already know everything when you get here. You're here to learn, right? So we heard from our 2 interns that visited that they're contributing to the Artemis program. What about your interns? What are they working on, and how is that supporting the program?
Yeah, in fact, I've got 4 interns this summer, and one of them, Ben, is working on a cryogenic fuel valve testbed. What's
that about?
This is really exciting. Cryogenic fuel, right? So these valves are used for fueling up rockets that eventually launch and go to space. The problem is these valves, they control the flow of cryogenic fuel from fuel depots to the rockets before liftoff. And if any of these valves fail during that process, you got a big problem. Either the fuel doesn't flow and then nobody gets to go to space that day, or the fuel flows without stop into a completely full rocket. And that's another different and dangerous problem.
Right.
So it's really important to understand the health state of these systems, and Ben has helped me to do that, carry out experiments, and now we're developing algorithms that can help us better understand when these systems may fail in the future.
Pretty important.
Pretty good stuff.
This is one of the many things that I'm like, oh yeah, I never thought of that. But obviously someone has to fuel up the rocket.
Yeah.
And you got to have a valve that's going to stop fueling up the rocket at the right time.
And these
amazing.
Are really, these are really important even for the future of the agency, for things like the Lunar Gateway and for possible lunar colonies. Because in each case, we'll have to fuel up rockets for propulsion.
Oh, interesting. I have some questions that you might be able to answer from the chat. The coconut milk. Is it okay to not have any outside experience for the internship? Like, as in, I'm looking to start building experience at NASA. Would that work out?
Yeah. Well, I think that if you can seek out things like online courses, make learning a priority for yourself, and show that you've learned some skill, like I learned Java using this online course. Well, that's some experience that you can put on your resume that you don't have to wait for anybody else for. You can get started on that today.
Yeah, yeah. Good tip.
To add on to that, you know, students are always able to update their application on intern.nasa.gov. So, you know, just to go off of what George has mentioned, once you get that experience in, make sure to update your profile.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
So once you send it in, it's not gone for good.
Right.
You go and update it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's really smart. George, how was the interview process when you were becoming an intern?
Oh,
Do you remember? It might be a while ago. I don't know.
Yeah, I was really nervous about the interview process. But in actuality, everybody here is really, really nice. My interview, I was asked a whole bunch of questions about my experience, about things that made me excited about robotics at the time. It was really fun, and the person that interviewed me is actually still a really good friend of mine here at the center.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So it turned out okay.
Yeah.
On your early projects as an intern, did you work on robotics projects that involved robotics design, or are interns usually heavily involved in programming? Was it like varied, a well-rounded experience, or
it can be incredibly varied. In fact, for me, I had to work on the hardware, and when I was done working on the hardware, I had to work on the software. And in certain cases, both the hardware and the software needed extra work. It was pretty varied. And some of the interns I have now, some of them are purely programming, some of them are doing hardware, some of them are doing hardware and programming.
Okay.
Yeah.
All sorts of things, which is great because you want to be exposed to as much as you can when you're an intern. You're not quite sure maybe what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah. When I develop projects for interns, I try and think of things that allow them to grow personally and also help us with our projects.
Yeah, that's a nice point. You're not it's not a one-way street.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Trying to decide what to ask you next. A specific one from Miguel B714. for George, I don't have extracurriculars or projects under my belt, but I do work full-time at an aerospace machine shop. Will I be passed over? This maybe for you guys too, from what you've seen in applications.
Yeah, not at all. In fact, I'd love to see some of the things that you've produced there. Definitely highlight all the skills that you've gained in employment, and even some of the responsibilities that you've taken on as a full-time employee. Those are all great things to have as an intern.
Right. Yeah.
Just to add on, in that personal statement section, I think that would also be a great opportunity for the student to just highlight, what they learned from this experience. So, again, it's their opportunity to kind of show the mentor, what type of skills they've learned and also what their potential is as well.
Yeah. This is great. As usual, there's so much good stuff to talk about. We're running out of time. So I'm going to give you one more question, or if you have any final thoughts you'd want to share for potential interns.
Yeah, I think that it's really important to, first of all, apply. There's lots of opportunities here, but you're not going to get any of them until you apply.
Yeah.
Be genuine on your resume. Tell us why you love NASA, and get ready for an exciting summer.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. I don't doubt that a bit. All right. Well, we're running out of time, so I don't want to forget to get in some of the information you have to share with people. We know one source of information. If all of this has gotten you excited to apply, go to intern.nasa.gov to learn about how the process works, deadlines, potential projects, requirements, everything you need to apply. But Able has some other resources where people can learn about the stories of interns and different kinds of opportunities, right?
Right, yeah. So there's 3 ways. The first is that we have intern stories and blogs. So if you want to learn more about the intern experience from the intern perspective, and most of these blogs are written, from the interns themselves, visit blogs.nasa.gov/interns. Also, we have our social media platforms, as I mentioned. So we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. On Facebook and Twitter, we use the handle NASA Interns, and then on Instagram, we're at NASA Internships. The last thing is that nowadays on social media, you can follow hashtags. So I encourage everyone to, on any of those social media platforms, to search for hashtag NASA Interns, and then you'll see a lot of the stuff that NASA posts, but also from the interns specifically. So you'll see some of their posts as well.
Yeah, the interns themselves. Yeah.
And especially today, because it's National Intern Day, there's
right.
all kinds of posts. We're all over social media, so today's a good day to check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure after listening to everybody today that those are really genuinely interesting stories, because our interns are doing real research that's pushing forward all of our missions. So I will check it out for National Intern Day. So we're almost out of time, but I'm going to throw a few more questions in just to round out the day. Can interns become astronauts?
Yes, why not? I hope so.
Sky's the limit, I think. Is there a max age for new NASA interns?
No. No max age.
School.
Yeah, as long as you're currently in school, enrolled in school.
So I could go back to school and I could come be an intern with George.
Yes.
If he takes me. If he accepts me, right? Do you know the amount or the number of high schoolers compared with college students? Does it tend to be college more than high school?
Yeah, it's definitely mostly undergrad. Then the second largest group is probably our graduate students, and then with a few high schoolers here and there.
Here's my last question of the day from Lil Schedule. Sorry for butchering that. Can I be 92 and still apply?
Sure.
Yes.
No one will stop you.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm sure you have many skills to bring. All right. Any final words of advice? Go for it.
Just apply. It all just starts with applying.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's where it begins. All right. Well, this has been really inspirational, and I hope we're going to get lots of new applications because we need everybody's help. All right. Excellent. Well, that is all the time we have for today, but a huge thanks to you guys, our guests, and to everyone that joined us in the chat on Twitch. We will see you next time. Thank you for watching. See ya.